We're back. This is Renovate and Build with Jim and Sandra, powered by Fair Trade Works.
Otis Redding and Knock on Wood. We're going to be talking all about wood in just a moment. Good Saturday morning. Hope you're enjoying your weekend. We're glad you're joining us here on Renovate and Build as well.
Yes, good morning and thank you so much for joining us. Sandra, I'm excited to have our next guest join us. In September, BC Wood Specialist Group launched their new engineered wood products in Whistler at the Global Buyers Mission. They had buyers from around the globe fly in to check out the latest products that BC has to offer. Joining us on the phone to talk about their market response is the manager of BC Wood, Roy Mannion. Good morning, Roy.
Good morning. Good morning.
Roy, for those who didn't know about the newest lines of engineered wood products that were available at your Global Buyers Mission, can you talk to us about the products that were debuted and maybe why so many buyers from around the world were anxiously waiting to check out these new products?
Well, maybe what we should do is just talk a little bit about the Global Buyers Mission first and what it was and how it was that we got people from throughout the world, including our own backyard, to come to it.
Sounds perfect.
Yeah. This is our 11th anniversary for doing this, and we've been up in Whistler, which itself is a great destination for people to come to from all over. It's obviously, for those who didn't know it, the Olympics certainly put it on the map. And anyway, we've been putting on this conference, this annual conference, once a year, always first weekend after Labor Day, and it's to showcase British Columbia wood products, primarily what we refer to as value added. And by value added, we mean anything beyond the 2x4. So engineered wood certainly falls into that. BC Wood is a trade association, just to give you a little background on that as well, and we represent British Columbia's value added wood industry. And the purpose of our being is to promote and to grow that industry so that we can get away from shipping logs from British Columbia to other jurisdictions, have them manufactured into products, and then, of course, shipped back here. We simply want to grow that industry, and that's what we're about. And we've been around for 25 years doing that. And one of the ways we do it is we actually have offices in different countries. We have an office in Japan, Korea, China. We also have dedicated representation in the United States and some in Europe. And one of the ways we help businesses in British Columbia is by taking them on to trade shows in those different countries, Tokyo, Shanghai, Beijing, Seoul, and the like. And, of course, throughout the United States and Canada. Quite frankly, I'm at one of them right now.
Busted.
And it's on tomorrow. It's called the Wood Solutions Fair, which is hosted by our sister association, Woodworks. And it's sort of a show similar to our Global Buyers Mission. And it's all about wood. But a little bit back to the Global Buyers Mission is that so we've been taking companies from British Columbia to these different products. Well, we came to light that why don't we once a year bring the world to British Columbia? And we started doing that. Well, we've been doing it in Whistler for 11 years, but I think we did it in a couple of other places prior to that. But once we found Whistler, we've certainly stayed there. So we actually have buyers from China, Australia, Japan, India, United States, Korea, Taiwan, Netherlands, Mexico, Belgium, Hong Kong. I'm sure I missed a bunch. But to give you,
around the globe.
Around the globe, exactly. So we bring them up to Whistler, and we also have an architect program up there as well, where we bring local architects to Whistler, and we put on seminars for them. And, of course, we have exhibits to promote wood products to all these buyers from around the globe. So that's kind of the background and the essence of the Global Buyers Mission. And certainly engineered wood products is a part of that. And not all of it, but is a part of it. Now, you as far as what is new in engineered wood, and that's most of what we've been doing here are probably best referred to as modifications of products that have been around for a while. One of the newer entries is a product called cross-laminated timber. Are you familiar with that term at all?
I'm not, because I'm not I'm not a construction professional.
Sandra's pointing at me.
Okay.
So you can explain it to the rest of us.
I would be pleased. By the way, we're great in using a lot of acronyms and abbreviations and letters. So if I say something you don't quite understand what I'm talking about, please feel free to let me know. Cross-laminated timbers, otherwise known as CLTs, is like plywood. But look at it this way, or visualize it this way. It's plywood made from 2x6s. And so you would have a top and a bottom layer going in one direction, and then in the center you would have a row vertical or perpendicular to the front and back, and that would be a 3-ply. And they do the same thing in 5-ply, and again, every alternate row is perpendicular to the one below it and the one above it. And then you can do 7-ply. It comes in, you can get it up to 8x40. You could probably get it by 10. By the way, our industry, as you already know and well aware, we're all about imperial. We try to do a little bit of metric, but everything we talk about pretty much is imperial, so you have to forgive me on that. So we talk about 10 feet wide and 40 feet long. And some refer to it as the concrete of the 21st century.
That's what I was going to ask. It must be very strong.
It's extremely strong. As a matter of fact, it can do the work of concrete, and the advantages of it over concrete is it's about 1/6 the weight to achieve the same structural stability. And you can also work with it with regular carpenter tools as opposed to anything else, using other tools. So, and the majority of the CLTs that are manufactured today in British Columbia come from the mountain pine beetle killed wood. So it's also utilizing that situation we have there and taking that wood and making something very valuable out of it.
So, Roy, that kind of product, obviously, it makes sense, in concept, and what's the response from the marketplace been? Well,
as I said earlier, we have kind of modified products. What we're doing is not necessarily totally new. Unfortunately, and I say unfortunately, Europe has been significantly ahead of us on that, and they've been making it for about 15 years, and so we discovered it. We found out all the characteristics of it, the qualities of it, and so we've started bringing it over here, and now we're manufacturing it up in Okanagan Falls, just south of Penticton. Now, as far as the demand, it's actually it's like anything else that is new that's taken a lot of promotion. It's taken a lot of code getting into the BC construction code, building codes, and that. So those are all taking time, but I can tell you that I can't give you the exact numbers, but we've had the company's had some very good success. Matter of fact, there's a couple of newer buildings at UBC that are featuring this product. And one of the advantages of it is it really allows for quick construction.
Right.
Everything is done in the factory. All of the detail, all of the chases for electrical or cutout for windows or anything like that is all done on CNC equipment. Do you know what that term means, CNC? There's another initial.
Another acronym for us. What does that mean, Roy?
Tell us, Roy, tell us.
Is there a test afterwards?
A computer numerical control. In other words, it's a machine that is controlled by a computer. Okay. And you just, instead of the old days of doing things by hand or, by a skill saw or a saber saw or a table saw, what you do, it's like a huge router, and you just plug all of the designs you want into the computer, and the computer takes over and runs the equipment, and it's absolutely phenomenal, and the accuracy is tremendous. And you can just do things you just could not do with the accuracy and certainly with the speed in the past that you can now do with that particular kind of equipment. And that CNC equipment is actually quite prevalent throughout our industry. Many companies use it now.
For our guests, just Roy, I'm just going to take a break. For our guests just joining us, we just want to welcome them to Renovate and Build on CIL 650. It's powered by Fair Trade Works, and we're speaking with Roy Mannion of BC Wood. He's talking to us about some of the products that were featured at their Global Buyers Mission in September. Roy, I just wanted to continue with why you think wood is so popular right now. I mean, more than ever before, we're seeing it in the headlines, as you said, structures going up.
Well, thanks to a government that was very proactive with wood. In 2009, the British Columbia government passed what's called the Wood First Act. And here we are in British Columbia with all this wood, and it wasn't being utilized nearly as much as we would like in our own province. Most of these manufacturers that we have, they were shipping a great deal of these products outside our province, outside our country. And so when this little event called the Olympics came along, Gordon Campbell decided, the premier at the time, that we should be featuring wood products. And so legislation was passed that specifically stated that all provincially funded buildings had to have a wood component in it wherever wood was allowed by the code. So wood became the product, the default product, unless there were reasons for it not to be used. And then our job, the association's job, like BC Wood and Woodworks, was to educate the architects, educate the industry on the different wood products. So in British Columbia, that was one of the big reasons. And you know, one of the compelling reasons for wood is that it is natural. I mean, it is the only renewable building material out there. You know, people might say grass is, or bamboo, which is, I guess, the grass. But you know, we cut down trees and we regrow those trees. And the great thing about wood, from an environmental perspective, is that when trees grow, they take carbon dioxide from the air, and they store the carbon and give off oxygen. So there's nice vacuum cleaner. And as we cut down the older trees and plant new trees, we get all this new growth, and we continue that cycle. But the wood that is cut down has the carbon stored in it. So we're storing this carbon, and it stays there until the end of the wood's cycle. So there's many reasons, and certainly with products like CLTs, and I've only talked about that one, but certainly products like CLTs, we've now reached a point where we can build significant structures out of wood. And again, that's just kind of one example. And there's other products that come along as well. So innovation in wood products, the government promoting it, the environmental reasons for using wood, the ease of using wood, all of them have been factors in wood becoming more and more popular.
Yeah, it's definitely getting more progressive, Roy. You know, one last quick question. As a construction guy, I'm curious where you see your organization believes that these wood structures are heading in that use of this kind of manufactured and engineered wood. What's the kind of vision, you know, what do you envision happening over the next few years with your products?
You mean where's it going to be used, or what kind of structures?
What kind of structures? Do you think it's going to start to be used more? You know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Which direction do you think it's all going in?
Yeah. Wood is being used more and more. You know, and the thing is, and one of the benefits of wood too, and the structures manufactured from wood in areas that are prone to earthquakes, wood has stood up significantly better than concrete buildings. They can move. There's more flexibility, and certainly in the Kobe earthquake that Japan experienced back in, I think it was in the early 90s, wood structures fared very, very well. And now the Chinese are starting to see a little bit of that. I just read an article recently where there was one of the latest earthquakes in China, where there are a few wood structures there now, and that they fared quite well.
I was reading that as well.
Yeah, and with, you know, so it's got so many reasons for it to be used.
How high do you think we'll go? That's the question, isn't it?
Yeah,
you're going to say the sky's the limit, aren't you, Roy?
The tallest, currently the tallest wood structure is 9 stories, and that is in England. And they got the. So I mean, there you go. We got Europeans beating us. The tallest wood story in North America is the Wood Design Building up in Prince George, which is 8 Actually, it's 5 stories, but because of the height of the building, it's actually 6 stories. So it's a 6-story wood structure, and that's another thing. Provincial codes have just changed to allow 6-story wood buildings. Up until then, it was maximum 3. An architect by the name of Michael Green envisions that we can go to 30 stories with wood with no problem.
Yes, he's doing some great work getting wood out there.
People are concerned about wood's going to burn, and it is combustible and all that. And one thing about heavy timber is that it chars, and you can actually determine how fast the wood is going to burn and char. And once you get that char on the outside, it really slows down the fire completely. And what a wood structure, fire-wise, once it's finished, is just as safe as any other kind of construction. So, Michael Green figures we can go to 30 stories, and I don't know. We never thought we would do 6 stories 10 years ago, and now we're doing them quite regularly. There's well over 100 of them throughout the province now, whereas a few years ago there was none. So
an exciting time, Roy.
Pardon?
It's an exciting time for wood.
It truly is. It truly is. And while we get slammed quite a bit, there is a lot of good things about the wood. And British Columbia, just as an aside here, as far as harvesting wood, and I don't want to get too much into issues with it, but we have more third-party certified wood in British Columbia. That means how it's monitored for all the good reasons, FSC, SFI, CSA, all these different certifications. British Columbia has more third-party certified wood than any other country in the world, with the exception of the rest of Canada. Wow. Think about it. We have more third-party certified wood in British Columbia than the United States does.
Incredible.
So we are managing in spite of some of the things that you hear. And could we improve on our forest management? Yeah, but we've come a long way, baby, and we're quite well. We're doing quite well.
Fantastic.
Well, we know you're a busy man, and we're going to let you get back to your show. We really appreciate your time.
It's my pleasure. Have a good day.
Thank you, Roy.
Okay, bye-bye now.
We've been speaking with Roy Mannion, manager of BC Wood. You can find out more about their organization at bcwood.com.
Or you can visit our Facebook site for all of today's links and guest information. Our Facebook site is facebook.com/renovateandbuild. That's Renovate and Build.
And we've come to the end of another 60 minutes here on Renovate and Build. Next week, we'll be visiting Ann Moore to find out about the latest in construction and development in that beautiful part of our GVA.
Megan Gary will be out shopping for the latest in dishwashers this week, and they're going to be bringing the best of their finds to the studio.
And we're going to be speaking with educators about how we can get more youth into this incredible construction industry, which is so desperately needing new talent, Jim.
So another full lineup ready for next Saturday. Hope you'll join us. Thank you so much for listening, and have a great weekend.
Up next on CL 650, Tom Lucas and Sherry Brown for Radio Real Estate.
Introducing a revolutionary new construction system. This is Renovate and Build with Jim and Sandra.